Hey, gang, it's the Total Package Lex Luger, and you're listening to InYourHeadOnline.com. Don't miss it.
We're back, and we're joined by Sergeant Buddy Lee Parker, also known as the Sarge. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How are y'all?
I'm doing good. Pretty good. Yeah. Are you still involved in wrestling?
Somewhat. I do special events for good causes, but I'm not steadily active in it. I was up to about 3 years ago, and the indie circuit is just not what it was. If it's for a good cause and we got a great crew and, you know, we can raise some money to help some people, then I'm all for it.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you miss being in the wrestling business? You being part of it for so long?
Yes, I do. I mean, there's certain parts of it I miss. I mean, I miss training guys, to be honest. Of course, I miss being on TV and just like everybody else, you know. But I think most of all, I miss training guys, especially people that wanted to be trained and had a lot of drive, and I didn't have to push them as hard. So,
yeah, I know a lot of fans know you from Sarge, the trainer of the power plant. And you were telling us beforehand that there's actually 4 different power plants, and I don't think many of us know about that. You want to explain about that?
Yeah. Actually, there was, first off, I was trained by Jody Hamilton, that was the assassin, number 1, and Nick Patrick, which was a referee for many years for WCW and WWE and all that. Mm-hmm. When he first started, he called me down to the little metal building, just like most all training centers, smaller training centers. And I went down I actually met Ole Anderson after a show, and he goes, well, kid, you go over and slap Hulk in the head, and if you survive, I'll tell you how to get in wrestling. I said, well, I'm smarter than that. So he goes, I'll tell you what, here's my number at the CNN Center. Call me tomorrow. And I just thought it was just like the normal blow-off deal, you know. So anyway, I called the next morning, and his secretary was I was kind of shocked, was kind of waiting on my call, and said, well, yeah, I always said you would be calling, and these are the 2 schools he recommend. He recommend Jerry Oates down in Columbus, Georgia, or Jody Hamilton School in Lovejoy. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, I live in Jonesboro, so I guess Jody Hamilton it is. You know, it's closer for me, and, you know, we're all working a normal job and training and whatever. So I set up an appointment to go meet with Jody, and I walked in. He's in his assassin mask, and, you know, they got classes going on, and I think he was doing a local newspaper ad deal there at the time. And I said, Mr. Hamilton, I'm interested in training. Ole recommended me come down, and I just want to see what it's about. So I walked out, and there was the guys doing squats and up and downs and running the ropes and taking back bumps and doing this, that, and the other. And I sat there for the full class and watched, and I said, okay, thank you very much, sir. I'll see you in about a month. And he gave me that, oh, sure, kid. We'll see you in a month. Sure, right. So what I did is I went home and I started training, doing squats and doing all the stuff that I saw. And I went back in a month and I officially started. And I wrestled for Jody. It's called Deep South Wrestling for 2 years there. I did everything. I wrestled. I actually helped with a school. Nick Patrick, he had just come from Bill Watts' territory, and he had blew his knee out. And back then, you know, they cut you from side to side and all that. He was actually on crutches and stuff, but he helped me a lot with psychology. And about 2 months later, I had my first Deep South match on TV. So that's how I got started. Mm-hmm. How I got started. Anyway, it was a recommendation from Ole Anderson. So
Ole's a guy a lot of people, don't like. Some people really like him. We actually meet him every year at the NWA Fan Fest in Charlotte. What are your thoughts on Ole Anderson?
I'm going to tell you what. A lot of people didn't know how to take him, okay? Mm-hmm. But you know what? One thing you always knew is how you stood with him. If you may not like what he said, but you knew where you stood, and if you could wrestle, you could make money. Mm-hmm. And me and my partner as a state patrol, we made a lot of money when Ole was running the territories and was a booker and stuff. I mean, he used guys that could wrestle and could work, and didn't mind going out there busting their butt every night working. Mm-hmm. And I have nothing bad to say about Ole.
Yeah.
We moved from Lovejoy to Jonesboro. That's where I got ahead of myself. I'm sorry about that. But that's where Kevin Nash came in, was down in Lovejoy. Mm-hmm. He was a bouncer here in Atlanta. I ain't going to say where, but he was a bouncer here in Atlanta. And he came down and said, blah, blah, blah. We did our tryout. He did squats. Of course, he's, played basketball. He had bad knees. But he made it through it and did everything he could. And so anyway, that's how Kevin got started, was down there in Deep South. And, of course, he had many gimmicks with WCW for something stuck. And, they say the best gimmicks more true to your own personality. So
yeah,
I guess he finally found that. So.
Well, when he got real big, with the NWO and stuff, was he still the same guy? Was he still friendly to you?
Yeah, he was the same guy to me, but I've seen some little changes in him. I'm sure he's under a lot of pressure or whatever, but he's kind of the same guy to me because I guess I broke him in. So I mean, he, and it's just the same stuff I was taught. I mean, it's all a conglomeration of things that you've learned from, over with the older guys over the years. I don't even say older, more veteran guys over the years, what they teach you and stuff, and you pass on. And what we do is we steal a little bit from this guy and a little bit from this guy, and then you incorporate it and make it your own.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. And then we had Elegante down there,
yeah,
from basketball, and boy, that was a treat. He never. Every time he ever been knocked off his feet, he'd been hurt. So I remember just trying to teach him how to take a back bump. And, we had just 2 rings down there, and one was 18 foot, one was a 16 foot. So, that was challenging with his size. But finally got working with him and Jody and all, finally got him to take a back bump, and finally got him where he could run the ropes and stuff, and he just came out of the blue, and I said, how do I suplex, and like, oh gosh. And then, we eventually got into it, and in that building you had to go out of one corner because my feet would brush the little rafters as we went across the ring, and he was so happy and jump up and down. I think that night I took like 16 suplexes. So I was sore for about a week or two. So after that, but that's also we moved to Jonesboro, Georgia. Mm-hmm. Another power plant type deal, but that down in Lovejoy is just strictly Deep South, But then we moved to Jonesboro, and then we become the power plant. And we were right there, right off of Main Street, right behind the police academy, and they're out there training, and I'm out there running guys and doing squats and doing everything that I've done, and I never asked anybody to do anything that I wouldn't do anyway, and I had to stay in shape just to train guys, so. And that's where Brian Clark, Adam Baum, and Chronic, and all that, he came in, and Dallas Page, that's where he got started at. And doing squats and doing, I believe it or not, Dallas did squats, and so did Brian Clark, and you know, they did the same type of training, not just squats, you know, same type of cardiovascular training, because what people don't understand about that, they always thought squats was a punishment, but it wasn't, because when you do a Hindu squat, you're going down on the balls of your feet, and you're getting your quads, you're getting your thing. I make them throw their arms out so they open the wall cavity of their chest. They're taking more air. I make them scream at the top of their lungs. So it's a whole total body workout. Mm-hmm. And when you're in the ring and you get blowed up, the first thing that goes is your legs.
Yeah.
So
now, DDP was all that. You know, DDP was a little older when he got into wrestling. Yeah, he was a little older. I was a little questionable about that. I was like, man, I don't know, you know, because I've always seen him do AWA, and I saw him, you know, when he was with Scott Hall and managed Scott Hall, and, you know, and he's always a manager, you know, but, you know, I think Dusty was running things, and I'm not sure. We had so many bookers and, you know, different things during then. But I think Dusty was running things in, and he sent him down, and you know, and it was a slow and go thing with him. But one thing I learned about him, I tell you what, I made him bring a notebook, and he wrote down everything I told him every night. And that thing about training, if you're in shape, you got to retain, you know, a certain percentage of everything I teach you every night, or you just don't do that snowball effect and actually get the big picture of what we're doing. And that's why the cardiovascular stuff was so important, you know. It's because if you're blowed up, you're eating nothing. The only thing you're thinking about is sucking wind. You're not thinking about, when I'm teaching you about how to get a hammerlock, or I mean, just simple stuff, headlock, takedown, much less what they do these days. So, but anyway, that, and I also trained Bill Kazmaier down there. Oh, yeah.
So that was a treat to try to.
The world's strongest man. Yeah.
Yeah, he'd hurt you locking up, but, you know, he was, and he's a little intimidating, too, after you watch him on the World's Strongest Man run 100-yard dash with a damn refrigerator on his back. It's like, wow, okay, well, I'll do the best I can.
Yeah. No,
go on. And then, you know, that's where a few other guys came in. We got more heavier and heavier, and finally they moved us up off of South Atlanta Road, and that was more of the power plant that you saw on Good Morning America, A&E, different other shows that they did, and Life magazine come out and did an article, all the way stuff to Maxim or whatever. And that's when we had High Voltage and Alan Funk and Mike Sanders and, you know, and all them, and Prince Ikea. And you know, Prince, he came from Dean Malenko's school. And he still did squats and did all the training that we did. You know, we trained 6 hours a day there. So, and we have, you know, 4 rings. So, you know, if I got 15 to 20 students, and I'm jumping from ring to ring to ring to ring all day long, and I'm showing this guy arm drag, I'm showing this guy hip toss, showing this guy how to slam, showing this guy how to run the ropes, showing this guy how to take a back bump. By the end of the day, I'm pretty beat. You know, it's ain't like going out having one match and then going in the car and going to the hotel, you know. So, you know, it can be brutal, but I enjoy it, you know. But,
who were some of the other guys that were training at the time?
Down in Jonesboro, I also had Harlem Heat. They came in from Texas. Worked out there that people didn't know at the time to hone their skills. We had a slew of guys. He was skipper. He was a great guy. Multi-talented guy, high voltage. Sometimes we had, at the time, Road Dog. Everybody knows him as Road Dog, but
yeah,
as part of Armstrongs. And we had different other people that were already wrestling that were coming down to, just hone in on their skills and different stuff. There's probably, I think I did a list or something. There's like 80-something to 90-something guys that have been through the 4 stages of power plants that actually made it and was making money and was in the middle of the pack and up. So
yeah. No,
and then
go on.
Go ahead.
I was just say, when you train a guy and you would see him on TV and doing well, would that make you proud?
Oh yeah. I was at the Georgia Dome when I saw Bill beat Hogan for the World Championship, and that was awesome. That was a big highlight for me. And yeah, I always enjoyed seeing guys doing well. And and then I instituted guys carrying camcorders with them. And we had we had like 4 camcorders, one for every ring, going at all times because it's a great training tool. It's not to choreograph your matches or do anything like that. It's to train you, see what you're doing great, or see what you need to work on. And I could tell you 1,000 times a day, but you might not get it. But if you take it back and you play it back, and we had training sessions where we would actually sit down and just do nothing but view tapes. And, say, well, that was good, but you could have done this in a different situation, or did this move and made your match better, or you could have done this to protect yourself, or, there was many different things. So, and then we moved to the final place, at the third place, that's when we started open tryouts, and I'd have 20 to 30 guys every month coming in and trying out, and like it's well documented, $250, and all I did is make them do squats and puke and all that, but that's not what it was about. It was about, and it was true, I had that many guys, and from football to all walks of life, in different sports. But the thing is getting that few that really got what it was and had the heart and determination to make it through the business. Because actually, if you got some talent and you got trained right and stuff, the easy part is the school. Because if you think about it, we're on the road so many amounts of days. We're traveling. We're trying to find it. We're going to the gym. We're going to the hotel. We're going to the Civic Center. We get in the car driving somewhere else. In WCW, if it was 300 miles or under, we drove. And we may make a circle and end up in Chicago and fly out somewhere else and go into a different town. So just the traveling part was grueling, plus, keeping up with everything. But, and I know I'm going to bring up Batista. I know you're waiting to hit me with that, okay? I don't even remember Batista even coming trying out.
Yeah.
Do you believe that? Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
I think you remember a big guy like that. Now, would people...
Well, it might not have been as big then.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. He says he does, and he blasts me on the bill. Well, friggin' hell. You know what? You know what he needs to say to me? Thank you. You know why he needs to say that? Because if he made it at WCW and he got balled out like it did, he probably wouldn't be on TV right now.
Yeah.
Because how many WCW guys do you see in the WWE?
Yeah, most of them, they didn't use hardly at all.
No, they had no plans to use them. So if he made it at the power plant and stuff, there might have been a chance that he would not be the person he is. I haven't watched in a while, but I think his interview skills are a little better, but his work skills I'm not so sure about. But I have nothing against the guy. I mean, he does everything, called me a piece of shit that I still don't even remember him from this day.
Yeah.
You know, but that doesn't matter to me, you know. Whatever. He made it. I'm glad for him, you know, so.
I know another thing a lot of people are probably wondering about, because I was a big fan of it at the time, was the Louis Theroux's Weird Weekend when you were on there. Do you remember a film of that?
Well, yeah, there's a behind the scenes story that you don't know about that either.
Yeah, because it's probably how they edit it.
Yeah, they edited it all, and plus the behind the scenes story that you don't know. I built rings, and I also I made guys learn how to set up a ring, how to take down a ring, learn all aspects of your business. You're in it, so you need to know a little bit about everything. Mm-hmm. So, we had a guy that had a ring guy, Gordon, that had a stroke on the road, and they needed a ring really quick out of the power plant. We pulled it out of the power plant. And I jumped in a 24-foot truck and drove it. And I was wrestling and setting up the ring, and I went all the way up to Washington and all the way back down to Miami for 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And he come to me in Miami with a camera sticking into my face, and nobody warned me. I was like, what the hell are you doing, you know? You know, we're doing this, and, you know, wrestling's fake and all that. Well, that's fine and good. You know, whatever. I got to finish my job here. Go to hell somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And then he goes, well, I'm coming to the power plant. And then he got my attention. I said, oh, really? I said, well, you're coming to just watch and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, because none of that stuff, like on Good Morning America or Today's Show, I mean, all that stuff, I tell them right from the get-go, stay out of my way. You film what you want, but all this is real. None of this is staged. Not like Tough Enough. It's you know, this is the real deal. You know, I mean, these guys are actually trying to make it in the business. So he goes, and I said, well, he goes, no, I really want to try what y'all do. And I said, okay. And I was in Miami, and that was on Monday. Well, tryout started on Wednesday. I drove back from Miami in the truck, and I was in the power plant the next day with 20-something guys. And the part of it is that you didn't get to see was he said he wanted to try out, so we gave him a small example of what it is, and where you saw all the guys getting on him and all that. That really happened every tryout, because every guy that went through that, it was like a bonding type deal that, okay, I went through this and I made it, so I want to see somebody else make it, and everybody become tighter friends. Mm-hmm. And it made everybody bond and work harder. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I mean, and it's a true, I think it's a true fact that method works. I think you should earn, and you respect your business if you earn it. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't there just trying to punish him, like it showed on whatever. Yeah. And, you know, the funny thing is he kicked my butt on the video game. Well, what they don't know is I was up in EA Sports in Vancouver, and I made the 4 video games for EA in Vancouver, Canada, doing all the mocap work and stuff. So I guess I kicked my own butt. But that's another whole different story. EA Sports people are the greatest people in the world. I want to shout out special hello to Wendell Harlow up there. They took great care of us, and I made them videos with guys out of school. Mm-hmm. They wasn't polished guys that had already been on the road, and all that. If you go to my Facebook thing, you see pictures of Bill throwing me out of the ring and stuff. That was to promote the video game for the top 100 companies of Canada and Rolling Stone and all that. That was trying to launch into the video game.
Yeah.
But I actually made them video games for guys out of school.
Mm-hmm.
That wouldn't polish workers yet. So,
yeah.
I mean, they were good, but they haven't been on the road. Mike was getting kicked off with the different stuff, but they got to see another part.
Mm-hmm. When Nitro really started to take off, did you notice, like, much more people coming in trying to get into wrestling?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That naturally picked up. I tried to get them to run commercials harder, you know, because I think they did a few, but they didn't do a whole lot. But, you know, and I think Jody was pushing for a bigger facility and a nicer facility, and I mean, nothing was wrong with what we had. We had a full-blown gym and 4 rings and, you know, and stuff. But, yeah, they could have made it much better than what it was at that time when Nitro took off.
Yeah. Did he wear the mask all the time? Because we actually met him in August, and even at the dinner he was wearing a mask.
No. You know, it just depends on what events he was at, you know. Now, wrestling number 2, I don't think I ever saw him without the mask. And, but Jody, you know, he was Jody when Mr. Hamilton or whatever, he was, when he was training and know the cameras around, he was himself, so. But I wrestled for him for 2 years down at Deep South, and I went and set up the ring and stuff, and I'm thankful for that, you know, because I earned my spot, you know. And I remember my first match with WCW. It was with an iron sheet down at the little TBS studio down on Techwood down there. You remember when they were filming down there? And it was brutal. But, you know, but back then you had to earn your way, even if you were an enhancement guy or however you want to call it these days. I don't know what they call it, but, you know, you had to earn everything because, I mean, the veterans weren't going to give you anything, and you had to earn their respect, you know, and if you didn't fight back, you got your blood whooped, you know. I mean, they don't hand spoon guys like, I don't know, I guess they're doing now. So, then at the old power plant, that's where Bill came in. Yeah. You know, they brought Bill in, and I made him do a certain amount of squats and up and downs and what we call the gauntlet. We have 4 rings set up where you climb in between the second and bottom rope and hit this rope, that rope, little forward flip, slide out of the ring. The next guy, as soon as you're hitting that rope, he's climbing up in the ring. And he did some things. I mean, true. I mean, I didn't baby him or nothing, you know, but after we started getting in the ring, darn, this guy's a talent. I mean, he's actually picking up. I had him doing things that I knew he would never do, you know, and I mean, I've had him do a backhand swing into the spear before. Yeah. You know, when I was shoving him out of the corner, tripping him and shoving him, he could do a backhand swing into the spear. And I wrestled him out before y'all ever see him on Nitro and stuff. I wrestled him so many times in dark matches and down in Columbus and Macon and wherever else, and down in Orlando. The dark matches before the Power Hour and all the other little shows that we had. Yeah.
Now, always like signature spots, the spear and the jackhammer, and he gave a lot of other cool moves that I don't think he gets a lot of credit for. People think he just did a few moves, but did he come up with all those? Or were those things that like you helped him out with? Like, where did they all come from?
A lot of them moves, like the press slam and the drop in the shoulder and the slam, a lot of them we came up together, and I helped him and been groomed through there. He's been well spoken, and I thank him for that, for all the perks he gave me, for helping him through all that, helping him with backstage politics, and helping him be innovative about his moves and all that.
I say
yeah, he could do so much more than they let him do.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, and I guess sometimes less is more. You know, but when I was having them dart matches, I had him doing everything because I wanted them. Sometimes you play to the camera, but sometimes it's better to shell out the monitor in the back to the bookers that are watching the monitors, you know, and that's what happened. And they said, damn, this guy's really got it, you know, so.
I'd say the spear's probably like the most copied move ever since he started doing it. Then everyone started doing the move.
Oh, yeah.
You
don't see anybody doing the jackhammer, so.
No. I remember Billy Gunn did it for a while, but it was a very weak version compared to Goldberg's.
Right. But me and my partner, we've been all over. I mean, we wrestled for WCW, but we also went up for Stu Hart up in Calgary, and believe it or not, we drove from live in Albany, Georgia, and we drove my car. They wanted to fly us, but we didn't want to ride in the vans and all that, so we drove a car from Atlanta, Georgia to Canada, to Calgary. And we wrestled up there, and then we come back to WCW. Then we went to Puerto Rico after Bruiser Brody got killed down there, and that run was only like 3 weeks, and he wanted to go back, and I was like, I don't care for it. So
yeah,
it was a bad situation. But and then Stan Hansen come and approached us one time, and we did a lot of. I was like the guy that they called to fill in for a lot of shows and wrestle new guys. I can't tell you how many new guys that they bring in.
Yeah.
That I worked, just that were having tryouts for WCW, were having dart matches and stuff. I remember picking Triple H up at the airport. I went down, picked him up from the airport, brought him to center stage, and stuff. And he's always been a nice guy. I really like his work. I'll tell you the truth, I don't watch as quite as much as I used to. But when Triple H is working, you know, he's going to give you his all. And, you know, I worked with Undertaker when he wasn't Undertaker here. But, you know, and Stone Cold, I live in Douglasville, Georgia now, and Stone Cold lived right here in Carrollton. Well, they call it Little Rica. I guess it's Little Rica, but he lived 13 miles from my house. So I went on some fishing trips to Stone Cold, and we had a lot of fun on the road. He's actually a super funny guy. You know, he's a great guy, you know, and really down-to-earth guy, you know, so.
I think most people thought he should be a big star, but I don't think anyone knew he'd be quite the star he became. Were you happy for him, you know, even though he was working for the other company when he became huge?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, hey, I never not wanted to see a guy make it, you know. You know, what Vince did was take what his natural ability was and what was closest to his own personality and brought out a superstar, you know, and that's, I got to give Vince his perks, man. he can sometimes look inside of a guy and actually see what their own personality is and bring them out, you know. He was Stunning Steve here for a long time. He's a great wrestler, and him and Pillman tagged up as, I can't remember, the Glamorous Blondes or whatever it was.
Hollywood Blondes.
And, you know, and Hollywood Blondes, I'm sorry.
No problem.
I feel bad because I didn't remember that. But anyway, they're great wrestlers and great whatever. But, I mean, truly, you know, when he left to go to WWE, that's kind of what brought his inner self out, and that was true. That was true to Stone Cold's personality. If you hung around him, and I mean, he's a jokester and you know, stuff. He's a great guy. Mm-hmm. I have nothing bad to say about him.
Yeah. Who would you say was the most trouble that you trained?
What now?
Who would you say gave you the most trouble, like during the power plant years?
Gosh, that was a lot of years through there.
Yeah.
You know, they sent Tank Abbott down, you know, to be trained, and I had to pull Tank over the side, and I said, "Look, man, I'm here to train you, try to make you a better wrestler. I know you don't have the background, you know, we need to work on a little cardio, you know, but I'm here to show you, you know, and then after you're done, you know, if you want to lift your weights or whatever, you know, at that time, we done moved over to another place. And, I mean, we had with Little Gold's Gym in there by then. That was, I mean, I guess, I mean, for us having everything that we needed and was full blast. I mean, for us equipment and that type deal, then yeah, that was probably the ultimate power plant. But for us that, but he wasn't no trouble. He understood. He, you know, and but I guess El Gigante was the hardest because he, I mean, Forrest figuring out and trying to get him to get it because. I mean, many times they put him in a 6-man, but him and somebody else, and me and Dale with State Patrol with Bobby Eaton, trying to get a good match out of him. So, you know, I mean,
what was the Giant like? Because to me, is like the most athletic, you know, guy for that height.
Paul White. Yeah, Paul White. He was when he first came down there. He looked around and went, shit, I mean, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I said, well, you're going to wind up doing some squats, you know, and, or, you know, if, you know, whatever, we just got to get some cardio down. And he manned up, but he had it down to have his, whoever to call him and page him on the phone and stuff when it got too tough, But, you know, Paul was a good guy. And at that time, I had Ron Reese was 7'3". And at that time, I had Bill, too. So, I mean, I had 3 big guys and plus several other students like Elix and, you know, just Prince Ikea, you know, all them guys, Sonny Siaki, Alan Funk, all them guys that did Natural Born Thrillers and stuff, and we added a few more, and Chuck Colombo or whatever, and Mike Sanders, and so I mean there were days I had to go by and get that 32 ounce of coffee just to go in, and I get psyched up to my job, and.
OIB, do you have a question for Buddy?
Yeah, I was just wondering how many, like, WCW wrestlers would come down and talk to the trainees. Did you have any of that?
Quite a few. Terry Taylor and, believe it or not, Ole. He would come down and I mean, just Eric Bischoff would pop in and, I mean, at that point, we were so close to the office that it was accessible for them guys just to come pop in. And Chris Canyon at that time was coming down and training a lot, and that was already working and stuff. So I mean, there was a lot of guys that came around. The Harlem Heat still came around, and them guys just to give some inspiration and lace up their boots and get in the ring and their own separate ring or you know what was great? We had guys at different stages, so I could plan for these guys this stage 3 to work with guys in stage 2 and work with guys in stage 1. You know, so we had different levels going at all times. But yeah, I mean, it was a great time. I miss those days and stuff. And
when WCW started, you know, when there were talks it was going to be sold or was going to be off TV and stuff. And I know a lot of people, even in WCW, they said they thought it was an angle at the time. Did you think it was an angle at the time, or did you really think this is going to be all over?
Well, no. Well, they first showed it to us. We showed the Viacom, and believe it or not, when they told everybody we was at the power plant, I was a TVS employee then, and so I got paid extra monies for training guys and for wrestling and for them to go do video games, all that just piled up. But anyway, they told us we were so the thing and we're going to be moving to Vegas. And that's when they come up with the angle with me and Bill tagging together and all that with against Lex and Buff and all that stuff. And the plan was Bill needed surgery, so the plan was that after that he'd go to the surgery and come back and we'd be filming from Mandalay Bay. And what happened was, I guess, too many mergers. Turner merged with Time Warner. Time Warner merged with AOL. The guy at AOL and Ted got bumped down in the scheme of things, and so the guy, president of AOL, they got rid of all sports, Braves, Hawks, all that. And the WCW is still the highest rated show they had. So, well, we don't need wrestling, We can, I think he actually said in USA Today that wrestling fans are like monster truck fans. We're trying to appeal to our clientele, and we can just pop a movie in. So, when he pulled Monday Night Nitro off the air, that's what they wanted, was that Monday Night Nitro. And if you think about it, at that point, or before that point, wrestling was at its highest point when Nitro was going against Raw. I mean, Raw was drawing big, and so was WCW. I think that was the heyday. I'm not so sure it is now. But I think both businesses were drawing great money because people were flipping back and forth seeing what was going on. But anyway, not to jump around, but they actually pulled everybody in the power plant and said, the HR person showed up and said, today's the last day. Boxes will be provided for you. You got to exit out the front. And this is your severance. For the guys that had, that were Turner employees and whatever contracts and stuff. So, I mean, and I'm not sure what happened to all the archives or whatever, but we were still drawing big over in Australia and different other places. So I don't know, we recouped the royalties from all that stuff, all events, I would assume. Be on the main. So.
Now, when WCW's gone, what did you think you would do? Did you think you would go to WWE and either train for them or wrestle, or did you think you could just go and work somewhere else? Or
I weighed them out, and they already had some trainers, and mention no names, and I live in Atlanta. I got 3 kids, and I'm not going to jump up and make hash moves. I ended up opening my own wrestling organization. It was called Spear Wrestling, and I used Rick Steiner and Scott Norton and Larry Zbyszko and Dave Taylor and Scott Hudson and Larry did our first. We shot our pilot up near Dalton, and I brought in Jerry the Wall, and then I had some other younger guys like Damien and Alan Funk and just other guys that I've worked with, and so we had a good mix of older and newer guys, and we shot a great pilot. And not a funny story, but we all had fanny packs and had all our stuff in there and extra keys. But one of my trainees come to me and said, "Sarge, I broke the key off in your car. What I do?" I said, "Oh, here's the extra key." He goes, "Can I have your phone? I mean, I want to call my mom, just let me know, whatever." And sure. So I went out and called his mom, and then my wife, Susan, she made a call, and, we didn't get reception in the building. She goes, "I need you to tell Sarge to call me right away." And my mom had passed away of a heart attack that night, and we were doing a 4-camera shot, and these people had never shot wrestling. I heard them right off the deal, and I went out, and I shed tears, and I looked up in the sky, and I said, "Well, Mom, what do you want me to do?" And I just came to me. I said, "Well, the show's got to go on." I mean, I flew guys in, and so I really directed and produced and gave finishes and wrestled twice, and we had lights and lasers and fogs and set up the ring and barricades and all that shit, and shot our pilot, and then tore it all down, and I drove to Griffin, Georgia, to make arrangements for my mom. But it lasted for about 2 years, but it was just too hard to overcome. By then, everything wrestling-wise, even though we had more of a WCW family-oriented show, or more of a family-oriented show, sorry. And but it was just too hard. It lasted for 2 years. I had a place up there called Super Power Plant, and my backers, I didn't have enough backers, and I was driving 85 miles one way to the power plant, and promoting and trying to arrange towns during the day, and training guys and people at night, and getting home at whatever, and then it just took a toll on me, and I just said the heck with it. And, I had a promoter call me from Germany, and and I still had a few connections in Japan. I was thinking about going there, and my dad had gotten bad health by then, and he worked for a major construction company here in Atlanta, Ashok Construction, and he was a superintendent, and they took him out of the field and put him at one of the buildings they own, and because Dwayne, I just can't physically get called up because the guy before him, he didn't do anything as far as managing the building. And I said, "Sure, Dad, I got a couple of weeks. I'll come up there and help you and stuff." And so I did, and within I ended up being there 3 weeks. Within 3 weeks, he said, I got to retire. I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I said, well, I don't know, Dad. He says, well, I've been talked to the guys there, and they really like you, and you know, they'd like to give you the job, you know, if you want it. And I'd like to see you do it. And I said, well, I'm gonna go talk to them. So I went and talked to them, and they offered me a really good deal, and now I'm a building manager of 3 different properties, and my sons wrestle. My oldest son, he wrestled all 4 years in high school. He played football and did different other stuff. I ain't pushing nothing towards anything, but he's got ADHD and a speech delay. And, you know, amateur wrestling brought it out in him. It was just amazing, the difference. I mean, and I showed him stuff, and, you know, but I believe in letting teachers teach, you know, so.
Mm-hmm.
But it was cool. Everybody knew me, so I was able to go down on the mats. You know, it changed since I wrestled in high school. They were having 10 county and 20 county meets, you know, and it'd go on for 2 days, you know, but it was pretty cool going down on the mats and watching him and stuff. So he did great. I mean, progression of seeing him getting beat in the second round, you know, to actually winning and doing great. And it was just a great experience. And now my middle son is 14, Adam. He's in a training camp right now for wrestling, and also doing road runners. And so they kind of work hand in hand, I guess, for his cardio and stuff. So getting ready to go to high school next year. So
that's cool.
I'm really proud of him. He did a road runners race last weekend. It was a night race, candlelight race, and it was like 10 o'clock at night. Down in Warm Springs, Georgia. I don't even know if you know where that is.
I'm in Massachusetts. So.
He ran with 85 people and adults and everything. He come in 20th.
Yeah, that's cool.
Extremely proud.
Barbara,
I got another named Christopher, so he's 11. So I'm doing good. You know, I got a great family. You know, I got a wife as an RN, and one thing I did do before WCW went down is I put her through school, and I put the kids in full-time daycare in the day so she could go do her nursing during the day so she could get it done quicker. And that was one of the best things I ever done. Trying to make that transition of getting out.
Yeah. We got a couple
I
people
think it's
here.
one of the hardest things about guys is trying to make that transition, and when it's time to get out, is getting out. You know?
Yeah. Now, how did wrestling? You know, you said the indie scene wasn't like what we expected it to be. How much had wrestling changed from the time before you got to WCW and how the independents were and the territories to after WCW's over, and now what the independent scene is like today?
It's just so, I hate to say, brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, you got guys that don't know nothing, that are training guys that don't know nothing, and I hate to say that because, I mean, I'll go out and support a show that's in my town and just watch, and, you know, I'll pay my ticket because I know everybody's trying to, you know, I haven't been on Facebook for about 2.5 weeks. My wife signed me up, and I've got so many people call, I mean, you know, email me and go, are you still active? Are you still training? Do you need training? And I guess best school I've heard so far is the Alpha School down in Florida, which is Dwayne Johnson's dad or whatever. And I heard he's doing really good things, and it's about to open another camp in Miami. And I'm online with a girl all the time that she's busting her tail. She goes there 6 days a week, 4 hours a day, plus works a normal job. So she's doing great. But, yeah, it's just tough. I mean, when I was, you know, we had a good crew. When I ran it, we had a good crew, and I mean, we had money for advertising, and everything's changed about posters, and the newspapers are so expensive. Radio, it's just so tough. It's just hard for an independent guy to even run a show, and I had to have $400 to break even just to pay the guys.
Mm-hmm.
So now you go out here to the National Guard Armory in Douglasville, and the building's $500 plus clean up and and all that. I just don't know how they can do it, and I went and did some shows at really thrifty up North Carolina and different stuff that I had a hand in booking the guys, and we had an armory up there in Murphy that was like 250, but it was a huge armory. I mean, you could put 3 or 4 armories inside this one. And we had really good shows, probably the best independent shows that we had, but we brought some guys from TNA, Chase Stevens, and different ones in, and some of my guys and some other people, and, we really got out there and hustled and promote, but I don't think fans actually realize when a guy says, okay, I'm going to run a show, what goes into promoting the show, from, getting out there, getting advance ticket sales, places, getting out, postering a town, get out, putting flyers out, and how many times, because it takes 4 to 6 weeks to actually promote a show correctly, if you even want to draw anything. So, it's just tough. I wish there were more training places where people actually train people correctly, or actually would go, this was my idea. When we first moved to the last place we were at the power plant, we had 4 rings and a full-blown gym and a full warehouse. I said, and they were sending people to independent places and paying them to go there to work with people. I said, why are you doing this? Because you're only teaching them worst habits, or you're only better as the guy that you're wrestling. We used to call it being married to somebody.
Right.
You would go wrestle a guy, Brad Armstrong, for a week, and then you go wrestle Bobby Eaton for 3 or 4 days, and then you had another guy, Ted Allen, God bless his soul. He was, I got to say, a special out Alabama. He passed away. He was instrumental in Deep South days.
Is that the Nightmare?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
That one.
Yeah. We met him this August, right before he passed away.
Yeah, great guy. One of the nicest guys in the world, and he'll go out of his way if you're wanting to learn. He'll go out of his way and pull you to the side and say, you need to work on this, that, and the other. But unfortunately, there's not anybody running any camps that will bring in quality teachers, or not even teachers, or quality wrestlers to run day camps to teach them better habits. I mean, they think it's all, and I don't take this wrong, it's not all about bouncing off the top rope and jumping down to the floor. There used to be a reason and rhyme of why we did things. I mean, we did things for a reason. If I'm a bad guy and a good guy, or you're, I'm a good guy and you're a bad guy, you would show that I could out wrestle you, and you show you could wrestle, but I was a little bit faster, I was a little bit quicker. And that was a formula for a lot of years that drew a lot of money. And there was a reason for you to cheat. Now they think getting heat is like this. Okay, so throwing punches and kicking, and then the babyface makes a big comeback and throws him outside and does a flip and lands on the floor, and And I can tell you for many years, I mean, my knees are shot, and I'm getting them fixed, but, regardless of what they think about wrestling, it's still a sport. We're still taking bumps every night.
Mm-hmm.
You can't fake a slam. You can learn how to fall from a slam, but you can't fake a slam. Everybody feels a slam.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody feels a suplex. Everybody feels a belly to belly. You might not feel it right that second as bad, but when you go back in the back and you cool down, you feel it.
Mm-hmm.
The next day you feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys on WWF going ever 200 whatever shows they're doing, they're just throwing their bodies out there.
Mm-hmm. Barbie, did you have a question?
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
Sorry, I ramble on.
Oh, no, it's fine.
I'm so used to doing that, man. Give me a few squats while you're sitting there. Stand up and give me a few squats and up and downs. Be somebody, make me feel important.
Introduce.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Barb, what was your question?
Yeah, in about 1999, WCW started hiring a lot of women from outside the business. Did any of them take wrestling seriously?
Yeah. They actually, that's when they brought in Medusa, to work along with me and Paul Orndorff at the time. And, believe it or not, I put them not as quite as grueling workout as I did the guys. But they did this certain amount of squats and different things. Of course, they get beat up a lot worse. I mean, I don't know if you know what WCW rings are made out of. They were actually made out of wood and Douglas fir, and they were steel aircraft cable with rubber hose and gaffer's tape. So just running the ropes would bruise your back. You look like you've been hit in the back with a baseball bat. So for the women, it was much tougher. Plus, they have to land different than us guys. So, and you can, because you had to land different, you can hurt yourself, even worse. So, yeah, I'd say probably, I can't remember, I think we had like 12 girls or something. Probably nine of them was really serious about doing it. Mm-hmm. And some of them complaining for a while, and then they got with the program and, and stuff like that. But, yeah, 99, they started bringing the girls, which I didn't mind, I mean, you got to have a little bit that appeals to everybody, but
here on Facebook, this Michael Oliver, he wants to know if you did any training with Pat Tanaka.
I wrestled Pat for many times.
Yeah.
I didn't do any training with him, but I learned in the ring from him.
Mm-hmm.
Some things what to do, some things not what to do, but Pat was a great worker, AWA, all the way WCW, multi-talented guy. So, yeah, I've worked with him plenty of times. There's probably not anybody in the business I hadn't wrestled one time or another.
Yeah.
Flair to Hogan to Sting to Undertaker before he was Undertaker when he left here. Stone Cold to, just about anybody except for the new guys that you see in WWE now.
Yeah.
That I haven't wrestled.
The blue guy in the chat room, he wanted to know about your run as the Leprechaun in the Dungeon of Doom.
Yeah, that was a famous Leprechaun deal. Yeah, I was a Leprechaun at one time. But I was an evil Leprechaun. That makes it worthwhile.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Anyway, how that came about is that I was down in Disney. We were doing our syndicated shows, and they were bringing guys in and using them, and they didn't know half of what my students knew. And I was wrestling them and whatever, and put them on top. But I just got fed up. And poor Chad Brock, he's a country music singer, but I just got fed up. I was like, the hell with it. I'm either going to get a job or get fired, whatever happens. You know, and I pretty much the only thing he got was a small package. I beat the hell out of it. And I mean, I hate it. I wish they had it on tape. I feel bad about it, but because he was a good friend of mine. He trained at the power plant. He went through squats and he did all that, you know, as a country music singer. Mm-hmm. So when you hear other people complaining, well, he made me do squats and he told me I was never going to be nothing, I told everybody they were never going to be nothing to push them. Mm-hmm. I mean, come on now. I mean, I don't have to hold your hand. But anyway, he did all that. Anyway, how that happened was, he was a small package. He was trying to get out of the ring. I was pushing down the rope, beating him in the back of the head. I beat him back through the babyface entrance, and I even hit him after we went through the curtain. And I just lost it, man. I was like, well, the hell with it. And I went in and kicked the damn door open. I said, anybody else is going to wrestle me, you better be ready to fight. And I got a standing ovation from both dressing rooms. And that's what you call selling out the monitors. Uh-huh. And Jimmy Hart came to me, and Kevin Sullivan came to me, and he goes, what the hell, Sarge? And I was like, well, damn, I'm just sick of this shit. I mean, come on, give me a break. What's going on here? So, I guess the squeaky wheel gets greased. Come up with that deal, man, and I actually had a seamstress make the stuff, and I dyed my hair red, and it wasn't red enough, and I dyed it again, and was going to salon and dyed my hair red, growing my beard out, and doing cardio like mad because their vision of me is me never being still, ever being still. And so I kept my cardio up even more. I mean, less working out with weights and more cardio. Mm-hmm. And eventually, I had this hairdresser down in Orlando goes, Sarge, you done been to the salon 3 times and dyed it. It's not red enough. Go to Sally's Beauty Supply and get your wife to dye your hair. And I did, and they said, well, it's perfect. They even sent off for teeth and all that. And so that's how the Leprechaun got started. And, I kind of enjoyed it. It was different. I had to learn a whole different way of working. And each gimmick they give you, you got to learn that style and stuff. And naturally, it was short-lived, unfortunately. It was part of Dungeon of Doom. It's on my web deal. I went ahead and posted it because I knew I'd hear about it. But, hey, what's the biggest thing that Vince had up there for him for quite a while?
Last couple, Hornswoggle.
Yeah, Hornswoggle. So, I guess we weren't too far off. I might have him beat out for about a couple of inches.
I think so.
But mention of Irish guys, I got
Finley.
I had a lot of great matches with Steve Regal.
Okay.
And them guys, that whole group of guys there, great workers. I probably had the last babyface match at WCW. Steve Regal was a babyface, and I was a heel. And then Fit Finley, had a lot of great matches with him, more my style, laying in, whatever. Great guy. I'm glad he's doing well up there, Again, all my Andersons, because I was around when Ole and Gene were together, and then Arn, he helped me out, for psychology. And not that Jody didn't, of course he did, but even more so about when I got up there. And got going and stuff. So there was a lot of guys during the lane. And then Malenko brothers, we wrestled them in Japan a lot.
Yeah.
I was in the Budokan one time. With the main event was Stan Hansen and against Terry Gordy, the Deaf Steve Williams, Baba, Giant Baba, a bunch of Doug Furnace, Danny Coffey, the Malenko brothers, me and Dale, a bunch of Japanese guys. It was the greatest thing ever.
Mm-hmm. Intro, did you have another question from the board?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No problem.
Yeah, I didn't have a question from the board, but I was just wondering, did you work with Paul Orndorff whenever you were working with the power plant?
Yeah, I worked with Paul. He was more a facilitator, and I was more the hands-on guy.
Mm.
And I've wrestled Paul quite a few times, over the years and stuff. So we had a thing, already had some kind of friendship going on there. So, it was a transition, I didn't make the decision to switch, from Jody to Paul or anything. They told me where I was going. Obviously, I guess because of my training and my dedication, I hope. And then Paul took over, and then Jody was doing other things and still contributing to the company and doing good things. And I've had a couple of words with Paul, and consistency is sometimes wasn't there, but I think he was a great wrestler in his time, and he knew a lot about. He brought something to the training center too, from all his years of being all over the world, and it was just a different form. But even with Medusa, I had to use psychology working with each. Even Medusa and Paul, when we had the girls, and we'd have something happen, and I didn't see shutting down the whole power plant over a thing. We'll talk about it when the day's done, and keep things moving, and but the squats didn't change, the running outside and win sprints and some of that didn't change, but they brought in different guys and put them under contract, and was bringing guys like Tank in to try to get something out of them, and and so it was just a different transition for me. So I had to learn, how to maneuver things around and make things work. But like we were talking about before, if you got another question, I'll shut up.
No, you go on.
Well, we're talking about before, they were sending guys out to these independent places out of the school to work. Mm-hmm. My idea was to push 3 rings out of the school, build bleachers, and put bleachers all around the school and have run a show there. Mm-hmm. And then bring guys in like Brad Armstrong and then Bobby Eaton and different guys to work these guys and nurture these guys and teach them how to work. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes when you go out and do independent shows, you learn more what not to do than what you learn to do. Mm-hmm. So, but anyway.
Do you think if they would have took the power plant and made it into a TV show, sort of like Tough Enough, but more real, not as scripted, whatever, do you think that would have worked?
Yes. I actually proposed that idea before we moved over to that deal, and they told me at the time that, people won't buy that. They won't be interested in that, and look at today. Yeah. And my thing was to actually get down and have the trial guys interview them, mm-hmm. see what their background is, what they, where they're from, what their, life experiences are, then show them training, mm-hmm. and then go one step further, skip her around for a week when he's on the road. I don't care if the cameraman's sitting in the back seat of the car. Actually go on the road and follow him. See the places he stops and eats. See the places that gyms he goes to. See the deals that he's going to. To me, that would have been more interesting.
Yeah. Plus, the fans would have known more about him. Would have more invested in the guys when they debuted right on Nitro. Wouldn't have just been some guy they never seen before.
They would already have a history of the guys and can relate to the guys more. So they would have been bigger superstars or bigger stars than they were.
Yeah.
I thought that was a great idea. And I just for the life of me couldn't sell it. At the time, who's going to watch a reality show? But hell, you can't flip the channel anywhere and not see a reality show.
Yeah. So you see now.
But that's hindsight. Whatever. But
yeah.
I just think if they would have really dug more into the guys that were trying out and the guys that actually made it and the guys that actually made it to the small Saturday night show, to the Power Hour, to the smaller shows, and you see a transition of the guy building up and finally makes it to Thunder. Then he finally makes it to Nitro. Now by the time you got that history and you've seen this guy develop into a personality and into somebody, and it would draw more people.
Yeah, you'd be interested. You'd be rooting for this guy. You've seen what he had to go through to finally make it to Nitro.
Right. And you know about the background before you even got there. So,
yeah.
I think they could have, that could have been a whole different hour program, and maybe I would have known who Batista was. But anyway,
real quick.
I know I sound hard on Batista, but he's been hard on me, so the hell with him.
Yeah. He wouldn't come to the show, so say whatever you want about him. I don't care.
No, go ahead. I'm done.
No, what did you think about Eric Bischoff?
Eric, I made it through a lot of guys. Booking committees from Flair to Dusty to Ole to another committee to Bill Watts to Eric. And Eric was more of a new age guy and innovator on some stuff. But Eric really, I guess he took took a lot of interest as far as making guys. Some of the decisions naturally you're not going to agree with, but you keep your mouth shut and do what you're told. And I got along with him. He went out of his way to talk to me when I've seen him go walk right past the other guys. And I think that's part of the reason they saw the dedication I had in at school and on the round. Of course, he probably was part of killing the Leprechaun and then Jack Boot, and then I had to come back as Sarge to the Army guy, so not the State Patrol guy.
When you and
got out by then.
When you and Goldberg did the angle with Buff Bagwell and Lex Luger, did was Luger and Bagwell, were they cool to work with?
Yeah, they were all right. Arrogant as usual.
Yeah.
But I still had a history with both the guys, and they were cool with the angle, and but they try to manipulate stuff like But anyway, they were cool. I got along with them. They kind of knew my history. I didn't mind doing what I had to do in the ring if I had to do it. And they were all right to work with. I don't have nothing too terribly bad to say about either one of them.
Yeah.
I've seen Buff, I guess. I used him on a few of my shows, but I've seen him on a couple independents, and I think now he's personal training. And
yeah, I think he retired from wrestling.
Huh?
I think he retired from wrestling. Have you seen Luger lately?
No, I haven't. I've heard about him, and a great inspirational story about getting Christ and stuff. And actually, at my building, I sponsor 3 different Christian groups. And we got a thing there at show called the Great Exchange that we do every 3rd month, and it's literally the top CEOs, CFOs of companies. Chick-fil-A came out, wasn't sure at Kathy, but it was, like they had a guy there, and I had reached out to Lex about coming and sharing this stuff to him, but I could never seem to get him to come out. So
we had him on the show earlier this year, and they told me they didn't think he'd ever walk again, and this year I think he started to actually work out. I mean, obviously not. He'll never be able to do what he used to do, but it's a way bigger improvement than they thought he'd ever, have.
Oh yeah, God bless him. I'm glad he's doing better, and I mean, Lord, that whole deal was just, I don't know. I mean, you couldn't write a movie for all that, but
real quick too. Ultimate Beef. Yeah. Oh, definitely. Ultimate Beef here in the chat room. He just wanted to know what was it like when Russo came into WCW near the end.
Russo was a little tougher to figure out. I think that's more when WCW were doing the women and did a little more like WWE, with a little more language and a little less clothes, and that whole angle of turning Bill bad, that was such a terrible deal that I have nothing to say on that. That was the worst decision ever. But I survived the Russo era, so and I know he's down at TNA now, I guess. Still, I don't know.
we're as fans, we're trying to survive the Russo era in TNA right now. It's not hard to do. I mean, it's not easy to do.
No, it's not easy to do. I've watched a few of their shows, and to be honest, I just had to move on.
Yeah. Are you surprised?
Or something was moving on, coming on or something. So.
Yeah. Are you surprised he gets so many chances? Like, what he did in WCW and what he's done in TNA. Are you surprised that people
it's ironic, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't get it.
Ironic.
Even the fans are chanting "Fire Russo." I don't believe I've ever heard any chance of firing the writer or the booker for any wrestling show ever before that.
No, I've never heard that before. No, and I didn't hear that, but I heard it through the grapevine, and that was happening. And I was like, "Oh man, they need to be making some big changes," And, especially with the rating. I don't know what the ratings are, to tell you the truth, but I don't think they're where they were or what they expected.
And they have a lot of big name stars.
Yeah. You gotta, I don't know, you gotta tell them stories, man.
Yeah, if the show's no good, it doesn't really matter, what stars you have.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta get the product out there for them to come back, and that's, the hard work in the ring. I mean, I'm all for interviews, but we used to do interviews to enhance our matches that we want to have.
Yeah.
We used to do interviews to draw people to the house shows. And that's what we did interviews for angles. But, the last few times I've watched, I'm going to be honest, either show, I was like, man, there's more talking than wrestling. And, it's just a shame, because I think the fans are starving for wrestling. I really think I don't think you can go old school with wrestling, but I think there's a mid-range there, which I kind of pride myself on being. You know, I was taught old school thing, but I was able to innovate and change with the deal. But I think, you know, we got to give the fans. Ultimately, they're the ones that are paying our salary, so we got to go. You know what? Even when I was wrestling, my shows and then did a few independents. If I went out and put my boots on, I'm going to give it everything I got, whether there was 200 people there or 20,000. You know, and I think you owe it to the fans to do that, you know, and not to say that the guys now are not trying to do that. I don't know, but I just don't get it, you know. I think if they throttled it back a little bit and gave more wrestling and harder fought matches and just, you know, I don't know. I think that's more of the way that the fans won't see it go.
Yeah, I'll be honest, actually, this week on Raw, the main event, it was Miz versus Jerry the King Lawler, and it was, you know, I wasn't really expecting a lot, but it was like this old school match. It really told a great story, and the crowd was really hot, and it was really probably the best main event on TV in years in WWE.
Yeah, well...
And, you know, I wasn't expecting that, but it was good stuff.
Probably Jerry, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure, but I didn't see it. But, yeah. And God bless him. I mean, he's still in, you know, great shape, I guess, and you go out there and do it, you know. But I know who Miz is, but I don't, you know.
Yeah.
I don't follow it as much. Like I said, if I knew Triple H was going or somebody like that, it was going to be on there.
You know, almost all those guys that came up through the territories, you know, there's not too many left. There's Foley's around, but I mean, and Triple H and Shawn Michaels just retired, and Undertaker, so there's only a few guys left. Where do you think, like, the future wrestling guys will come from?
Gosh, that's a scary thought. You know, I know WWE's got their training center, and I know Jody had a training center with WWE down here, and it's called Deep South WWE or whatever. And I actually went down. He asked me to come down to work out and stuff. And I walked in my bag, because that was the way I was taught, man. Everywhere you went, you took your bag, you know. And I went in like I was going to work out, and everything went silent. And Bill DeMott was running it, man. And there was guys complaining. There was guys, you know, some guys filling up mats, and a lot of guys standing around. I was like, what the hell? The Sarge ain't like it used to be, you know. The inmates were in an asylum. And I was like, wow, man, I don't know. It's just almost they almost got to buckle down and open a serious training center and start stealing knowledge from these other guys to give back. I mean, legend guys and stuff to give back about psychology and the reason why we do things. And I don't know. I really don't know what direction the business is going to end up in. I went to Japan. I trained with the guys in Japan when we were there. I did squats with them and worked out in the ring and stuff before the shows. And that wasn't expected of me, and it surprised them. But then more show guys started doing that. So I think that's almost where it's got to be, you know, is that somebody's got to say, look, we got to set some precedents, and we got to develop some new stars. We got to slow it down, and we got to teach these guys how to work.
you know, and how to draw money and how to get the fans back in the seats. You know, I'm not knocking on anybody nowhere, but I don't know. I don't know how Vince is drawing. I know he's already pushing WrestleMania here in Atlanta. I'm sure he'd do well, and you know, and give him his perks for everything. But I think the new training centers down in Tampa, I don't know how they're doing. I know they moved some guys here in Atlanta down there, but if any sign of what I saw over there, I mean, I'm worried about the business. You know, I really am. And they have to get some guys to Japan and see how they train and take the business. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
I'm sorry. I'm baffled. I don't have an answer.
Yeah. No, I don't think anyone does really. But I want to thank you for coming. We're going.
Okay, great. I appreciate you having me. I hope I didn't roll on too much.
I told you a half hour, and I believe it turned into 90 minutes. So.
Oh, well, good. All right.
Sorry about that.
Well, feel free to call me back, or if you want me on again, whatever.
Yeah, cool. It was a lot of fun talking to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. I appreciate you getting word out in our business.
This is Goldberg. Buy my clothing line at BillGoldberg.com. And oh, by the way, listen to InYourHeadOnline.com, or you'll be